Two patients from the same family in England have tested positive for coronavirus.
A ninth person has tested positive for coronavirus in the UK.
The Department of Health has announced in the last half hour that 14 more people across Britain have died after testing positive for coronavirus.
Just to remind you, 2,352 patients have died in hospital. That is a UK-wide figure.
Now, the latest figure over a 24-hour period is 765 deaths across the UK. It means that the total number of deaths so far in the UK of those who tested positive for coronavirus is now 26,097.
Initial thoughts, fair enough, that's what I thought. I mean, it's about time when they initially put lockdown in place. I wasn't too bothered about it. I was kind of happy that they did it, but yeah, it didn't make me feel any particular kind of way. I was just like, this seems like the right thing to do. If anything, they should have done it earlier, but apart from that, it seems like the right thing to do.
It first dawned on me when coronavirus would be something serious was whenever we all went into lockdown. Specifically whenever Italy went into lockdown, it kind of started to get real that it was something that was getting closer to where I live, and now that we're in lockdown and in isolation, it's definitely right there, and it's definitely something prevalent in all of our lives.
I think I took the coronavirus very serious whenever it broke out in the UK and also obviously in Northern Ireland.
But the biggest change point of all was when Italian people started to die. That it had jumped from Italy. It had jumped from China to Italy. And what was an epidemic eventually was declared as a pandemic. So I think the big jump into Europe was the thing that really got my attention.
I started getting worried about coronavirus when all the numbers like deaths and the actual sickness rate started going up.
When did it dawn on you how serious the coronavirus threat may be? It still hasn't. It still hasn't.
It started to get serious whenever all the shops closed around my town and work closed.
If my grandparents died from coronavirus, that would have been very upset.
Coronavirus affected my work because I've had to reduce my hours due to personal health reasons, just to reduce the risk of myself getting it.
Unfortunately, during the coronavirus, I was in the middle of transferring jobs, and so the job I was going into then couldn't offer me the job because of the coronavirus, and because I'd already handed in my notice from my previous job, they couldn't re-give me my job because they were also closing. So I am now, not only am I not working, I'm also unemployed from my part-time work point of view. So that's really frustrating me at the minute, because whenever this whole lockdown thing clears up, it might be quite difficult for me to start earning money again.
Well, it's impacted work as we've closed and we're getting 80% of our pay, so it's not our full pay, which isn't too bad. You're still getting paid, but obviously not as much.
I'm a meter reader for a utilities company, and I had to be furloughed because of the fact that a percentage of my meter reads were inside houses. So because of the social distancing and the risk of the coronavirus, it meant then that I couldn't enter people's houses.
Started to put people onto furlough, and that really started around about the 23rd of March, and by the 30th of March, 1 week later, all 46 people that worked for the business were on furlough.
One thing during isolation I've struggled to deal with would be keeping a good sleeping schedule, because I still have to work and still have to get up early. But then, when I'm not working, I'll be up to 5, and I have to be up at 7 o'clock some days for work, and it's a bit the worst.
There's days where you just have no idea what to do. You wake up and you're like, what am I even getting up for? What's the point?
Hardest thing for me in isolation have to deal with has to be the fact that I can't go get my haircut.
For me, it hasn't been too bad. It's just getting used to it, and I think I've gotten used to it. I just really need a haircut because I'm looking like Wolverine the more the days go on.
And to be able to not just get up and go somewhere is very difficult. When I've been sort of undertaking projects and I might need stuff like wood and stuff like that, the fact that nowhere was open, and you sit here and think, well, if I had this I could do this, and if I had that I could do this.
I think whenever we get out of lockdown, it's going to be a case of social distancing, like the government have said, until they find a vaccine. So I think everyone's lives in the UK and Europe and across the world is all going to be different for the next year and a half.
I don't think coronavirus will be finished with coronavirus until such times as they get a vaccine. I think that social distancing is here for until such times as they do get a vaccine for it.
Personally, I think things are never going to be the same again. We won't be able to go back to the way we were. I think we still have to, there's potential for this to go on for even another year or come back again.
I'm pretty confident about my future because even though like my college course is now pretty much cancelled in terms of doing practical work or real practical work with proper equipment, I can still probably expect to do that more whenever I go to uni next year.
Boris Johnson has declared that the UK is past the peak of the coronavirus outbreak and said that he will set out a comprehensive plan next week for gradually lifting the lockdown. But his announcement came with a warning that the country mustn't lose control and risk a second spike of the virus.
And we can now see the sunlight and the pasture ahead of us. And so it is vital that we do not now lose control and run slap into a second and even bigger mountain.
Stay home, protect the NHS, save lives.